Back here on Live Now from Fox, 11:31 on the East Coast and 8:31 on the West Coast. You are taking a look at some of the photos, the sketches from inside the courtroom as we talk about the latest involving the Diddy sex trafficking trial. And it's important to note that viewer discretion is advised. President Trump says he has not ruled out considering a pardon for his former friend, Sean Diddy Combs, if Diddy is convicted. The two are friends, but the president says they haven't spoken in years since he entered politics. When asked whether he would consider a pardon, President Trump explained that he would, quote, look at the facts. Take a listen to his answer.
And this one's a little bit more of a page 6 question, but back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So I can't. It's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
And that, of course, was President Donald Trump speaking from the Oval Office there at the White House. As for the trial itself, looking at more sketches here, Diddy's former assistant, who accuses the music mogul of rape, returned to the stand Friday, testifying under the pseudonym Maya. The defense confronted her with her social media post praising the hip-hop mogul as a mentor, quote, my brother and friend for life for years after the allegations. She explained that the posts were a facade, saying, quote, Instagram was a place to show how great your life was, even if it wasn't true. She testified that Diddy forcibly kissed her at his 40th birthday party back in 2009, and then months later woke her up and raped her in a bunk bed in his LA home. She's the second of 3 women expected to testify at that federal trial that they were sexually abused by Combs. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges that, if convicted, could put him in prison for life. Nicole Bernecki is a New York City trial attorney joining us now to talk about all of this and break down everything that has happened so far. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here with us.
Glad to be back, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, first off, I did want to ask you overall, because we know that the defense came out and said, look at these social media posts from the victim there who was testifying. So how could that play as essentially making her maybe look like a witness that isn't credible when you have someone who says, I'm posting these, but then, of course, the comment from her is that, look, I was forced to do this. I was trying to cope with it. How does all of that factor in here to the testimony?
Well, Josh, the purpose of a cross-examination is always to undermine the credibility of the witness that just provided a direct testimony. So right here, this is exactly what happened. The defense attorneys pointed to posts where she was acting in a contradictory manner to the allegations of abuse that she sustained. But every witness whose credibility is damaged on a cross still has the ability to rehabilitate their credibility through a redirect examination. And this is exactly what happened here as well, because she was provided the opportunity to explain why she remained in this abusive situation despite it making her suffer. And regardless of what we think of her reasons, whether she was more interested in her career or her integrity, whether she was greedy, whether she was really a victim of abuse, that is separate and apart from the fact that I think that she did rehabilitate her credibility issues that were raised on cross.
We've heard, of course, from several reports that some celebrities are reportedly seeking legal counsel to avoid having to testify here. Does that suggest anything about the potential scope of the case overall and impact on the entertainment industry as a whole?
I think we need more light shed on these mysterious celebrities and the potential scope of their testimony to be able to argue whether they would be implicated or not, and whether their indictments would be coming next. I think just getting legal counsel is not proof of anything in itself. We will see once these people identities are revealed and the scope of the testimony whether this is in any way consequential. But when it comes to the whole industry, definitely we will see if the celebrities that participate in these acts, if they learn anything from that going forward, and if these situations will continue happening in terms of implications for the future.
When we talk a little bit about prosecution from where the case does go from here, obviously it's not even close to being done. We still have several weeks left, but whatever happens here, how could it maybe set a precedent for folks there who are in high power who face abuse allegations or allegations of any kind?
In terms of the court proceeding itself, I don't think they will be influenced in any big manner based on what happens in the Diddy trial, because in a court of law, and particularly in a criminal court, every case should be assessed on its merits. Every case should be looked at on its own facts. So no one should ever be convicted because there was a prior celebrity who was convicted for a similar act. That should never happen. But as I mentioned previously, when it comes to the industry as a whole, if he is convicted, if his career goes down the drain, perhaps the other ones who are actively participating in similar acts will draw a lesson from that.
We're not just talking here about one allegation. Prosecutors allege this is a years-long pattern of abuse, manipulation, cover-ups, and it went on reportedly for 10, even 20 years here. So how important is that broader pattern when you build a racketeering or trafficking case?
It is incredibly important, Josh, because racketeering and trafficking are very difficult crimes to prove. Because first of all, you need not just one actor, ideally multiple participants who then have to have a mindset to commit the crime. So collective intent to commit the crime, and they have to coordinate, and it has to be sort of an enterprise. So that is what is the most difficult part, in my opinion, regarding his case, because yes, we do hear a lot of salacious testimony regarding the activities they were engaging in, which the public opinion considers gross in a lot of instances. But at the end of the day, the prosecutor's office has to prove the racketeering and all the elements that go into it, which is really not easy.
When you talk about the jury itself, and this is my last question for you, we know that obviously the point is to kind of prevent them from reading any sort of news reports, from speaking with any members of their family, their friends about the case. So how does the judge, the court in general, go about making sure that none of that happens, that they don't go home and start reading all the news?
They're subjected to instructions, and obviously there's never a full guarantee that the instructions will be followed. These individuals are sequestered in many ways. Obviously, we can never prevent human error, but this is also not just the judge's role in the jury instructions, as well as the attorneys, to continue reminding them that it is their duty to be unbiased, to listen to the evidence, and to make their decision based on that alone.
All right, Nicole Bernecki there, New York City trial attorney. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Anything else you want to add about the case before I let you go?
It's not the first and not the last one regarding celebrities. I think it's just food for thought regarding this culture that we fostered, where there are people who have such resources and so much time on their hands to engage in activities of this nature, while the rest of us has to be concerned about the price of groceries and going to work and things of that nature. So just food for thought there, and we will see what happens.
All right. Thank you again, as always, for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.